Breaking news! Donald Trump is a Republican nominee. What is this? No, they just did the roll call vote here at the RNC. Obviously, not surprising coming into the convention and after the worst political coup in American history yesterday, after it was utterly failed. We all knew for a stone cold fact that Donald Trump was going to be the nominee, and today they made it official. He is the nominee for all the non-believers. Whether you liked it or not, you believed it or not,
I liked it.
Donald Trump will be the Republican nominee.
There were no bets. There were no bets about whether he would be.
Cenk won some bets.
No,
there were.
Oh, I
okay,
won
but
a
they're
bunch of
already
money on
settled.
Donald Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had made those bets in October of last year. So
That he would be the nominee?
yes.
Well, that he would finish,
Wow.
and you won that he would finish ahead of other people, right?
No, in June I bet you that he would finish ahead of other people,
You
or he
fin-
would finish in the
top
top three. And then in October I won on he would
Yeah.
be the nominee.
Ah, okay.
I wouldn't
didn't
get in
even
on
need-
those political bets.
Well,
I
but
didn't-
back then you
Yeah.
would have been. Well, I don't know where you would have stood, but when I made those bets, I was called crazy.
But he was
Yeah.
Cenk. But I thought there were you nailed it. But I thought you bet like he'll finish ahead of,
Yeah.
Jeb Bush. He'll finish ahead of Marco.
So it was one of them was mano a mano Donald Trump versus Marco Rubio.
Right.
The other person had Marco Rubio. I had Donald Trump, and the field was a push in that particular bet.
I don't know
Right.
why we had the race, because you laid it out in the Freak 16 and it all went according to that plan.
So now that's why people's like
did
sometimes
you
they'll come
pick
up
him
to
to
me.
win at the Freak 16?
Not
I don't even think
remotely.
he was running.
No, he was running,
Oh, he
but he
wasn't.
had just announced. So let me explain that real quick, because I make a lot of predictions on the show. So some people will come up to me and be like, "Make a prediction." Like that's not how it works. You need to have some sort of information to base that prediction on. And so when we did the Freak 16, which was the 16 candidates that at the time that had declared their candidacy, Gilmore declared right after that and became number 17. We knew nothing. It was just fun, right? It was like, oh, I'll give you my rough sense of it. And I was totally wrong there. I picked Rand Paul, but I didn't say like, okay, write it down in stone. It's going to be Rand Paul. I said at this time, I think Rand Paul would. And I said very clearly, you can go back and watch the videos, because he's more of a populist, anti-establishment. It turns out I had the wrong guy.
He has that
right?
hair.
But I was like, I thought Jeb Bush would make it all the way to the end. I had Jeb
Me
Bush
too.
in the finals against Rand Paul. Our audience, the Young Turks audience, thought Jeb Bush would win. Okay, so
I thought Scott Walker would win.
yeah, and that was a perfectly reasonable
a
idea.
popular opinion.
I had Chris Christie beating Scott Walker. I had Chris Christie going really far. I had Ted Cruz in the Final Four. So, but when I started making the bets is when there was enough information. Because when Trump announced, he looked like a clown. He comes down the escalator, disappears.
He's kept
pays
that up.
his actors to show up to his first rally, etc. And the guy's been a buffoon his whole life. But by the time, but a couple of months later in June, you got a sense, no, this guy's a populist, right? And he's grabbed that populist, right or wrong, grabbed that populist wave. And then by October, no, strength. You know what for 14 years I've been talking about strength. That's all you need in politics. And he's punching everybody in the mouth. And I thought, this guy's going to be the nominee. And at the time, everybody's like, no, it can't happen. And by the way, for understandable reasons, because he is a buffoon. And he did things that were so unconventional, and he's not very sophisticated. That's like the best compliment. That's the best compliment I've ever given him, right? So so this moment here that we now take for granted, well, of course, they did a roll call vote and Donald Trump's the nominee. A year ago was unthinkable. Well, actually, a year ago, I had already made one of them. It's okay. 15 months ago. By anyone.
Yeah.
we get it.
Unthinkable.
We get
50
it,
years
Cenk.
ago,
You're good at predictions.
unthinkable.
Jeez,
No,
no
sure.
one would have thought it, but I knew.
No, but I'm telling
That's
you
what this
that 15
segment's all about.
No, it's unquestionably part of that. But no, seriously, no one's ever run a campaign like this before. That's why it surprised the hell out of everybody. That's why and let me just say, the most important part of this, why did he win? Why is he the nominee today? Because he got unchained from the donors. It was Trump unchained. Because the donors tell you, hey, there's a good side and a bad side to this, right? No. You're going to be for the free trade deals. You're going to be for lower tax cuts. But the reality is, if you don't have those donors to please, you go, wait a minute. If I say I hate the trade deals, all those guys applaud. And I just saw my poll numbers go up. Ben, in another episode, talked about how Trump was obsessed with the ratings of The Apprentice. He would get them before anyone else did. Did they move up? Did they move down? Did they move up or down in that 15 minutes? He saw his poll numbers move up when he talked about anti-immigration, free trade, whereas the corporate interests actually want immigration reform. They want those trade deals.
Yeah, if his numbers hadn't spiked after I'll build a wall and Mexico will pay for it, he wouldn't have mentioned it again.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So when you're not beholden to the donors, you can run a populist campaign, which Bernie Sanders did on the left, but he did it in a sane and rational way. So, but one other thing that people are discounting is the donors also have a slightly positive effect. They demand a certain degree of civility.
Yes.
Because they also do business with Hillary Clinton. They also do business with other people.
Foreign countries.
And what they don't want is for anyone to rock the boat, because that boat is their yacht. So when Donald Trump...
The ocean
right.
is campaign finance.
So no, when Donald, like, when he did what he did last night, and he brings up that Benghazi mom, and in a sense victimizes her again by taking her, her grieving, and then using it as a political tool against Hillary Clinton. If he was attached to donors would have said, don't do that. That's discomforting. In fact, when Rubio and Cruz fought back against Trump in the hands debate, their donors are the ones that said, don't do that. That's not civil. And they pulled them back.
They were wrong.
Right. And so when you are not attached to the donors, you could run a completely different campaign that's actually trying to appeal to the voters, right or wrong. And we don't like 3/4 of what Donald Trump is doing in trying to appeal to the voters. We think that he's appealing to their lowest, instincts and fears and anger. But I tell you now all of this to tell you that if he is still running that kind of campaign, and the other side is still running a campaign based on appealing to donors and not voters, watch out. Because if you thought Donald Trump 15 months ago and everyone on the planet thought he couldn't win, and now every pundit is telling you, don't worry, he can't win the presidency.
Well,
they're not right. I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm saying he definitely can win.
Very
just
quick,
got
we
a
got to
little
move on,
sick.
but don't fall into that trap. Not everyone is saying he can't win. I mean, most, like, for example, the guy you and I argue with, Nate Silver, it's gone from 80-20 to 63-37. 37% chances he can win.